Hey, did you know we're also on Spotify? You can listen to No Offsides on Spotify while you're busting out reps in the gym, driving to your next tournament, mowing the lawn to gain brownie points with your wife because you're always gone at tournaments, or while you're getting in some much needed shooting and stick handling practice. So if you're into multitasking, make sure to follow us on Spotify, where you can listen to all of our awesome content on the Spotify app. What's up, Rink Rats? It's Woody. I'm here to tell you that this week's episode is brought to you by Champion Hockey. If you're looking for quality wheels, sticks, bags, and apparel, then look no further. Champion Hockey has everything you need to look and play like a champion. Check out top-of-the-line Legacy Series sticks and wheels and upgrade your game without breaking the bank. Go to champion.hockey to purchase your gear now, and make sure to check out Champion on Instagram at Champion Hockey to stay updated with products and events. Champion Hockey. Look like a champion.
No offside.
Welcome to No Offsides Podcast, sponsored by Champion Hockey. I'm Dan Dean here with my partner Justin Wood.
Hi.
Our guest today has been around the game for quite some time. He's played for Team Great Britain as well as coached for Great Britain, and now holds adult hockey camps in Prague. We'd like to welcome Andrew Sillitoe, a.k.a. Coach Smilee. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How's it going? Good to see you, fellas. Really good.
We appreciate you making time for us. I know it's a little later for you than it is for us.
Yeah, it's about 11. It's 11 p.m. here. Well, 11:10. Yeah. So,
We appreciate it.
yeah, at my age, I'm gonna be tucked up in bed by now.
Oh.
Well, man, I see why they call you Coach Smilee. I've never seen you not smiling, to be honest.
I know. Well, especially now we're talking about hockey. Normally, I'm talking to like corporates and stuff like that. But so this is fun for me. So, yeah, it's good. Yeah, this is a name that stuck with me since I was 7. So it's kind of. I thought I moved to Canada. Actually, I'll tell you that a little bit later. But I thought I'd lose the name, but then everyone started to call me that when I moved there, like 20 years ago. Just followed me around.
Well, tell people a little bit about what you got going on in your life right now with hockey.
So right now, I live in Prague. Our lives are completely dominated by hockey. I've got 4 kids. 2 of them play hockey, ice hockey. They play at Sparta Prague. I'm playing, in the hobby leagues and the adult leagues here. And the adult league's actually pretty good. So it's a nice level to play at. And I'm running camps and various other things. But that's kind of, our lives are pretty much dominated by hockey every day, really. Yeah, but it's good fun. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, if it's going to be dominated by anything. I mean, I know Dan and I
exactly.
would think that.
I mean, if I could live a life of just hockey, thinking about how much I kind of, miss, as much as I now regret getting out of, high level hockey because of traveling. Cause I was like, I don't really want to travel anymore, but now it's like, now it's like, I regret it.
Yeah. Well, you just need that fix, right? You got to get the hockey fix some way. And if you'd said to me 5 years ago, this is what I'd be doing, I wouldn't have believed you. Like, especially coaching ice hockey, my background in inline. I think even some people are surprised that I'm actually coaching ice hockey. Yeah, but I love it. But where should we go with the story? What do you want to talk about?
All right, and if you love this show, then you will also love the College Roller Foundation. The College Roller Foundation is a volunteer-run, tax-exempt 501c3 nonprofit organization that exists solely to raise and distribute funds to deserving college roller hockey student athletes in the form of scholarships. The College Roller Foundation isn't a tournament series, league, championship, governing body, or sanctioning agency, but rather works with partners to host events to raise and distribute all those dollar bills to roller players who also like to get their academia on. By raising money through donations and divvying out these scholarships to the players, the College Roller Foundation seeks to grow the game of roller in college. And if you're interested in finding more info, helping out, or donating, please visit www.collegerollerfoundation.com and make sure to follow them on Instagram at College Roller Foundation. College Roller Foundation, growing the roller game one scholarship at a time. It's time to join a revolution in roller with US Roller Cup, a premier roller hockey tournament series. The US Roller Cup is led by a passion for the sport. US Roller Cup is driven to create an unparalleled experience for players, fans, and coaches alike. With a focus on promoting roller hockey at all levels from youth to professional, we are committed to growing the game and fostering a sense of community within the roller hockey world. To find out more information, find tournaments near you, or to sign up for an upcoming tournament, go to www.usrollercup.com and be sure to follow USRC on Instagram at US Roller Cup. US Roller Cup, a revolution in roller.
I think it'd be cool. Why don't you tell us how you kind of got into hockey in the first place? We don't really know much about hockey, let alone inline hockey in Great Britain.
Right. Okay.
So what was that like when you're growing up and getting into it?
So I come from a small town about an hour southeast of London. So no rinks, nothing. Like hockey wasn't even a thing for me. Like, you know, I don't think I even knew what ice hockey was. Like I played, what we call football, soccer, probably I played a bit of cricket, played rugby, all the traditional sports. But what we had in my town was like the biggest roller disco in the UK. And it was like the big thing. Like you speak to anybody in my town, what did you do in the 80s? They'll say, I just went to the roller disco. That's what I did. And we used to be on the Bauer turbos. I don't know if you've ever seen them, the quads.
Oh yeah.
So I was in quad skates for like 10 years. But when I went to the roller disco, I was 8, 9. And when it finished, the marshals, the guys who would skate around, they would come out in a hockey jersey and ice hockey sticks and just be wearing gloves and playing with a hockey ball. And I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I remember getting my first stick. It was I'm aging myself here, but it was a Cooper Super Stick. Right?
Okay.
So it had like the plastic blade on it that you could heat up and make it just a crazy curve with it, So I remember getting my first one, and it was just like freedom because I could go anywhere I wanted and just play hockey. It was just like the most natural thing to me. And so the game kind of progressed. It's developed through the 80s. And I sent you guys some videos actually, Dan. I think I sent some videos of some old street hockey video. It was on TV at 6 p.m. On a Tuesday night on Channel 4. We had like 4 channels. So it was like prime time TV. And so I used to watch these guys playing in the national championships, and like that's what I want to play. And my town, we had a pretty good team. We had a team called the Tunbridge Wells Street Cruisers, and we would like when I got to about 17, 18, I was like the youngest player on the team. The other guys were like 23, 24, and we would just hire a van and we would drive out to Germany and we would play. And it was called skater hockey or street hockey, skater hockey. It was full contact. It's still going today. It's the game shrunk a little bit. But it was just Germany, Holland, Switzerland, and us. And then Denmark came in a bit later. But so we would just drive down to Germany, or we'd drive to Switzerland, or we'd drive out to Amsterdam and just play in these tournaments and come home after a weekend. And the game just sort of grew. And then about 93, our team, we made it to the final of this big championship. This guy like promoted it like it was a boxing match type thing. It was just a really good promoter. His name was Dion, and he was just an absolute legend. And he made this big tournament, and our team we made the final, and we played against the London All Stars. And the London All Stars were made up of all these players that we used to watch on TV, right? And they were like men, like real kind of like. I mean, it was. Without going, I can talk about the history because you've seen the videos, and we were the minority playing them because it was a black sport really. If you watch the footage, and I was sadly you stop going to birthday parties, you start going to funerals now, right? Because it's catching up with everybody, and just the craziest stories. But when we played the London All Stars in this tournament, in the final, they came out wearing gold helmets like the Jofa. Dome helmets, and they said because they thought we were like never going to beat them. They said if we lose this game, we'll give you the gold helmets.
Oh,
that just got us rattled, right? So we were like, we got to beat. Anyway, it was just the most, probably even to this day, the most intense game of hockey I've played. It was like in a tiny gymnasium. It might even been 5-on-5. I'm not sure, but it was tight, full contact, and it was just hit after hit. Like you didn't have time to handle the ball. It was with a ball. We were still on the quad skates, and we ended up winning this game 9-8. And I got a hat trick. I just did a great game, and I was like 17, 18, But after the game, we went up to like the reception, and people, it was just weird, like how the way they set it up. You wouldn't see like now there were people drinking champagne, and players came in, and it was all made out to like we were celebrities, right?
Nice.
But strange, but this guy was there who I'd never met before, and I don't know if you've heard of him, but his name is Larry King, and he was Billie Jean King's husband, but it's obviously she's not married to him anymore, right? For obvious reasons, but he was like the guy behind launching women's tennis and getting it famous, and really pushed women's tennis in the 80s. And somehow he was the commissioner of the RHI, the Roller Hockey International. And he called me, hey, Smilee. And he was just so random. I think he was just a tourist in London and heard that this game was on the radio and came and watched it. And he tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, Smilee, saw your game, great game. He said, you know, you could come out to the US and trial for the RHI. And I was like, I kind of seen, you know what the RHI is, right? You must have seen the Roller Hockey International. And so this was like 94, 93, 94. And he said, but two things. You need to get off those quad skates and wear inline skates and play with a puck. And then, you know, but with your talent, maybe you can come out. So I kind of thought about it for a while. And then I was like, I don't know. I tried the inline skates and I was sliding everywhere on them. And it was, you know, and in those days, you just kind of borrowed a friend's plastic ones and the wheels were like tiny, and you know, there were no like stitched, but you know, like Bauer hadn't really brought out decent skates back at that point. And so I just left it, carried on playing, but it was itching at me. It kept scratching at me. And I remember watching an RHI game on ESPN. I think it was like the All-Star game. And I remember Tony Szabo was playing, and there was a guy called Victor Gervais was playing. He was like the top guy. He was playing for the Bullfrogs at the time. And I had him in a magazine. I used to subscribe to this magazine called Roller Hockey Magazine. I still have them. Still have them. And he had this training program. And my godfather at the time, he was like trying to push me to do this thing, to go like, you got to do this. And my dad had just died as well, which is totally different story. Sorry to bring it to, but he came like my godfather. He had a gym. He started training me. We were doing like what was like CrossFit training back then. So I was really starting to develop myself and coming of age. And I started doing this training program, and I put Victor Gervais on my wall, which I'll come back to in a bit. So I had a picture of him there. And I decided that I would go to Narch in the Düsseldorf Rams, a German team, were going to Narch in Vancouver. So this was 97. And they asked me to play for them. I thought to myself, right, I'm going to go and play for them. I'm going to have a couple of weeks there, and I'm just going to see what happens after that. And see if I can stay out there, find a team to play for. Made a few calls. I had nowhere to stay in Vancouver. Like I stayed in a hotel with a couple of friends. Once Narch was done, we got mercied every game. It was just brutal. Like it was our first time on inline skates. You know, it was the level. I think we played in the platinum division, like straight up that. You know, it was like so. I ended up staying in Vancouver, and I ended up staying with a family who owned the rink in Langley. So I don't know if you know Langley, but the rink is actually still there. It's been rebuilt again. And they put me in a league. I got lucky. I stayed one night. Without going into too much of the story, but the Indy car race was on in Vancouver, and there was nowhere for me to stay. So the family that owned the rink, they said, we'll put you up for one night, then we'll find you somewhere else. Well, I ended up living with Barry and Marge, who the owners of the rink, and Dave Collier. They became like my second family. I lived there for like 9 months. I ended up playing with a team called the Vipers with a guy called Dave Cairns, who a lot of the guys will know because he plays down on the beach now in California. And I was a rookie, so I was like 20 then, I think. And Kirk French, do you know Kirk French? You heard of him?
No.
He's like, to me, he's like the second wave legend. And he played for Team Mission. So the guys watching this, listening, some of them will know Kirk French. He was the captain of Team Canada. He's actually my daughter's godfather now, and a really good friend. So we played together, and I ended up playing with these guys, a lot of ex-Voodoo guys. The RHI unfortunately folded, and then the Major League was happening, and it was just all sort of falling a bit. I guess it was the time when it was starting to unravel a little bit. You know, a lot of money had been pumped into inline hockey in the late 90s, and things were starting to get a bit wobbly in the game financially. And so a lot of the Voodoo guys were playing in our league. I played with them. Dave Cairns was the assistant coach for the Voodoo and Canada. We had Scott Humphrey as a goalie who played for Canada and Voodoo. So it's just an amazing time. I went from being like this quad guy, you know, skating on quads, to starting to learn the game, starting to understand inline hockey, the bigger game, playing it in a more patient way, because I was just super intense when I played. And so I did that for 9 months, and that changed everything for me. Like, I just became a completely different hockey player. And then about a year later, I just randomly started playing with a few guys from the Slipjacks in California. I was down in Anaheim for some reason, and I got to skate with the Slipjacks one night, and they said, "Hey, look, we're going to Narch. Would you like to join us, play with us?" Okay. So I ended up playing with the Slipjacks for about 4 years. I would literally come home, play here, then fly back out to California. We'd drive to Las Vegas. We'd play, you know, I played mainly the Winter Nationals, actually, in some of the summer tournaments. Things like State Wars wasn't really about then. So I kind of missed out on that. I played D1. I actually played D1 with the Vancouver-based team. So D1 then was 22 and under, and we won the bronze. So a lot of guys like Empire State and Honey Baked, they were playing. The Honey Baked won it that year. Empire State beat Empire State, I think, in the final. So all those guys now, like, I'm 48, they're all 45, 46, 47, we're all playing in the first vets together, like USA, and it's just the best, right? I mean, it's just been amazing. But one year with the Slipjacks, we had a team hyper. There were 2 team hypers. We were team hyper, like, for platinum, and then there was the pro hyper. And then we got asked to play in the pro division. So this was 2004 in Cincinnati. And it was just amazing, right? I think we handled ourselves pretty good. We played like Mudcats. We played a game, a team called K-Tech, which are all RHI guys. And I remember going to the face-off, and this is when I first started to understand visualization, because I went into the face-off, I look up, and Victor Gervais is standing in front of me.
Oh, sick.
On the face-off, with the guy that I had on my wall as a kid, you know, like, as the guy was kind of wanting to, you know, following his program and so on. So that was just, I remember giggling, and I turned to the ref. I was like, "It's Victor Gervais." Like, look at it. You know, he's like, "Yeah, it's Vic. It's Vic. He's pretty good." And I was like, "I know." So that was that was 2004. They went on to win it. Actually, they were like, all of them were in their mid-30s at that point. And they won Notch Pro, and they won it easily. Actually, it was like, for me, there was a bit of a change in the guards. I think with Palmer coming a little bit later, they were just on the scene. I think they might have lost to K-Tech in that final. Can't remember. But yeah, Palmer Cyclones. Yeah. So
as you've been talking about this, I've been trying to dive back, and I've seen if I could find any old photos of your teams. It's not looking good, but, like, you know, Narch has like vintage photos and stuff like that on their website.
I've been chasing Darren for years. There's a picture of me in one of his magazines where I'm like, I scored the winner in the platinum division, and it was like 3 seconds to go, and I got my hand. I'm in the magazine. I'm like, "Darren, you must have it somewhere." He's like, "Oh, I can't find. I've got the magazine, but I just wanted the original digital." But he said he can't find it. But they were the days when have you heard of Ross Detman? Do you know Ross Detman? He was like the first photographer for Narch.
Okay.
And he was like the first guy that, I mean, he took it so if you look at the early Narch pictures, that was him. And he would set up cameras everywhere in the rink and flash, like, he was like super just detailed with it. So that was kind of really my entire hockey career right up until 2004, because I got to that point in my life. I was like, can I keep traveling to the US and playing hockey? And then I was I didn't really want to play inline in like a gymnasium, you know, in the UK with the ball and go back to that. So for about actually, it was a little bit earlier, I tried my hand at ice hockey. And the funny thing was, actually, I played in a major league roller hockey. We had the major league in the UK, and we had some ice hockey guys come across and play for us, like pro ice guys from the UK. And they were like, "Oh, where did you grow up playing ice hockey?" And I was like, "I've never played ice hockey in my life." And they're like, "Really?" I was like, "No, They knew nothing about my background and where I've been to Canada and stuff like that. They're like, you can make some money playing ice hockey in the UK. You could probably make like not big money, but you can make like 500 to £1,000 a month playing. I was like, really? Like they're like, yeah, come to our trial. So I'm like, they bigged me up massively, and I got in the hype, right? I'm like, I'm gonna play. I started telling my friend I'm going for a pro trial, and they like told the coach. The coach came up to me before the trial and said to me, how much are you looking for? Stuff like that. So at this point now, I'm delusional, right? That I can skate. so I've got I'm head to toe in mission gear, right? So I walk in the dressing room, I got like white mission skates, and I think I had white gloves. I had the ugly. Do you remember the mission? I think it was called the Mission 50/50 helmet. It was just terrible looking. It was before the Carbster. The Carbster wasn't bad, but it was like this. I was wearing that. I get on the ice, and I think I just faceplant straight away, like could just catch an edge or something. And I never forget it. So I'm trying my best, and I can hear people whispering, "What the fuck is this guy doing here?" I can just hear it, like especially the imports, like the Canadians and the US guys. They're like, "Who is this guy? Oh, he's an inline guy." But the guys have bigged me up, and it's so like, no, this guy's good. He can play, he can shoot, he can skate. So anyway, we're doing this drill, and you go like it was just like simple, like snake drill. Anyway, I catch an edge, like I pivot to go backwards. I catch an edge, my feet go up in the air, and nobody sees me. So I take out the entire line of people. Like one goes over me, and oh my god, I tried so hard. I kept showing up, and then I kind of bailed for a little bit because they put me on the roster and I just sit on the bench. And then I started playing with another team, and then something started to click. Things started to happen for me a little bit. I started getting more comfortable. I stopped switching as much between inline and ice, and I started getting comfortable. And then by about I think 2005, 2004, 5, I was still. But it took me 5 years to learn to get, because once I could skate, it wasn't just the skating; it was actually the game. I would get the puck, I'd take it all the way back behind my own goal, and they're like, "What are you doing?" Like when I was in their zone, I'm like. I'd pass it back to the goalie. So once I started learning, I was like, no, I wanted to play this patient game. I was great on the power play.
Yeah.
Because that was like my game. But so things got better. And then I started playing with a team called the London Racers. I didn't play a lot. I really used ice hockey then to kind of prepare myself then to come back to the US. And I just found that every time I played ice hockey, I would go to Narch a better hockey player, or all the world championships, so playing in double HF, that became like the main focus for us because there was really nothing else in the UK. So playing for GB in the double HF became like everything I thought about. And we had a really good coach for a while who just changed everything for us. So I did that up until about 2008. And then I was having problems with my hip. So I quit for a bit. And that's when I came back in 2010 to be the head coach. And that's a whole different story. But yeah, it was it's been the best time of my life. And now to be back in the game and also to play inline hockey here, because you've seen what the Czechs are like, right? You've seen the national team.
Oh yeah.
So all those guys playing our league, they come, a lot of them playing in the DL and we had oh my God, I've forgotten his name now. We just played in a tournament here in June, and I got to dig out his name, but he's playing with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he was playing in the tournament, and I got to find his name. Czech guy. You'll have to look it up. Czech guy playing for Pittsburgh Penguins. I can't believe. Anyway, so it was great. Yeah, it's good level here.
So I want to go back because what I'm looking at behind you is a gold chrome Joker helmet.
I forgot. I still have it.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, is that the helmet that you won?
I still have it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's it. Yeah, I put it on, but it looks absolutely terrible. It's Solani,
Yeah.
I think Yaga wore this as well, didn't he? And Lemieux, I think. But yeah, that's the same one.
Okay, that's awesome. Because I was sitting there looking at it, I'm like, all right, that's gold and chrome.
Yeah.
It's on a shelf. It's got to be something, either a replica or the actual helmet that he won.
It's the actual one I've held on to. A few of the guys have still got theirs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So
your journey was you picked up roller hockey through roller disco.
Yeah. Which
actually still was a big hit. Some places, especially in the US, that could throw a good roller disco brings out a ton of people.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And they're still on the old school skates. When I can see they're the quads.
Yeah, because especially near us, roller derby are still on quads. And then we get a lot of people in our area that will just rollerblade, but they're on quads. For the most part, and we try and get guys to play hockey all the time that are really good skaters and just go out there and are pivoting and stuff like that. We're like, dude, you should play hockey, and he's like, oh no, I can't do what you guys do. And we're like, you have half the battle. You can skate.
Exactly. Yeah. But I remember guys at the roller disco who were unbelievable, and we were like, just get a stick, just come and play. And they're like, no. And I guess in those days we didn't have aggressive skating, the movement for aggressive skating. So they would have probably done that, and we would have played hockey. But these guys, some of the things they were doing on their skates, it's incredible.
And so then you go from picking up playing in these tournaments and travel in Europe to then coming over eventually and playing Narch and staying in Canada, right? And so throughout all your experiences, I mean, what's a moment that you look back on and you're like, that's the one that I will forever remember besides your gold helmet?
Yeah, I would probably say winning the Platinum Division with Slipjacks, because I didn't mention actually my Tunbridge Wells team, my home team, we played in Chicago in March, so in '96. Forgot to mention that, and I remember watching the final, and I'd gone from thinking that skater hockey in Germany was the highest level of hockey I would ever play, to then watching Darren Goodwin, who was unbelievable back in the day, and can still snipe when I see him at the Legends. But watching these guys in '96 and thinking, I'm so way off this. This is a level that complete sort of limiting belief around, and came back actually a bit depressed about it, because I was like I look at players like CJ, and he was the same age as me, and CJ, it was just so good, and I'm like, how I haven't got the time to get So to then sort of give myself a bit of slap in the face and say, no, let's just really push it. Let's go all in on this. So then, what was, I think 2002, winning with the Slipjacks, what was that final? I mean, it was obviously pro as well, but I think to go from kind of never going to be able to play at that level to then scoring the winning goal and winning the Narch, that's probably got to be the best sort of transformation, if you like. I can give you lots of different ones, but that stands out for me big time. And the guys I was with, awesome. We had such a great bunch of guys, that we played with as well. It was just such good fun.
Now, when you talk CJ, you're talking CJ Yoder, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had him on a little bit earlier.
Did you? Yeah.
We're mostly talking about what he's been doing lately, not so much about his kind of stories about playing.
He's pretty humble guy, and I think for the most part, it came so naturally to him, and I think he grew up in a rink, right? He was playing every day. So I just think he was that much better than everybody else for that moment in time. He just made it look easy. He had a different style to a lot of guys as well, because even then, 97, 98, 99, there was still quite a bit of an ice hockey influence. You could see it in the style of the players, whereas CJ, he seemed just in line to me, the way he played. Whereas Jamie, his brother, he seemed more like ice to me, the way he played. CJ just played different,
That's cool.
It was great. Yeah.
Something I thought that you said was very interesting was like the skater hockey that you talked about.
Yeah.
You said it was pretty dang physical.
Yeah. It's still going today. And it was full contact. Yeah, it is full contact. Yeah.
What type of padding?
It's the same, but we didn't wear shoulder pads
Yep.
for the most part. Yeah, we didn't wear shoulder pads, but it was so growing up we just wore ice hockey gear, right? Because it wasn't until '96 that we started wearing long pants in hockey. And then we were on inlines, but you'd see guys on quads wearing the long pants, and it just looked terrible. But I think the first pair we had were like Mac ones. I don't know if you remember Mac 1. They made a puck. And they had a pant. They gave us some pants. But actually, I ended up working for Black Biscuit. Do you know Black Biscuit? The brand,
yes.
Black Biscuit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Still around today.
So, yeah. Well, I worked for them for 5 years. So I worked for them from '98 to 2004. And so I would go to Las Vegas for the trade show, really close friends with Paul Hughes, who was the partner then. And sadly, Joe Zambri, who was the owner, he passed away. And that's why Paul brought it back. So I tried to help with that. I think it was probably like 15 years later. And then Paul sold it to, I'm not sure, but we put the team we put into the inline championships here in Prague, we put in Team Black Biscuit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a revival. And it was great. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the OG Black Biscuit pants, and they had the Black Biscuit down the side. It just kept saying Black Biscuit, and they had pockets.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a pair with pockets. Yeah. Well, did you know the biggest problem with Black Biscuit is that the pants lasted too long? The whole slogan was built to last.
Yeah.
So from a sales perspective, you look at the guys wearing like mission pants, renewing them every season.
Oh yeah.
And guys would come, I've had mine for 20 years. I'm like, yeah, that's why we went bust, because they just lasted too long. Like we couldn't sell any. I mean, we didn't go bust, but we just couldn't sell enough pants in Europe. But, they were just too good. The biscuit cloth, they had this kind of like really, and they were quite heavy, like thick then.
They're and that's kind of like all pants back then, was they were heavy and thick. And I was going to ask you, I mean, you've played a ton of roller hockey through the 90s and 2000s. I mean, you played in those jerseys. They were thick jerseys. Yeah.
I've got a Team USA jersey, a Black Biscuit Team USA jersey that the guys wore in, I think 97, 98. It is heavy. I picked it up there. I was like, I can't believe they played in that.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to what we wear now.
It's probably the ProJoy brand.
Yeah, I remember ProJoy. Blimey, yeah.
Yeah.
They were like the first sublimated jerseys. Yeah.
Yeah, heavy.
Heavy, yeah, really heavy. Yeah, you just didn't think about it then, right? You just grateful to have anything, like to have matching jerseys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when
I'll tell you what were nice.
Oh, go ahead. Dan.
Sorry, but no, I was going to say, I'll tell you what were nice jerseys though. The RHI ones, the Reebok ones. They had some sweet jerseys.
But those were like more ice hockey, right?
Well, no, they were cut like it was just a different style. The pants were baggy, and they were just made by Reebok. It was like a silky jersey, and it kind of cut with a slightly lower back. You won't find them now. You just can't find them anywhere. But yeah. Sorry. Anyway, I interrupted you.
No. I mean, we'll talk about RHI. I mean, there's on Facebook and stuff like that. Guys are always selling RHI memorabilia. Yeah. And it's like no one really knows what anything's worth, so people just fish out a price of like, hey, here's a jersey, $500. And it's like,
I saw that.
It's like, damn. It's like, holy, that's steep for a jersey, but I get it. I mean, it was once around, it's no longer around now.
Exactly. And there were some hardcore fans in like Anaheim and San Diego, St. Louis. I mean, these guys, those fans from the 90s, they would pay. It wouldn't surprise me they would pay $500 to $1,000 to get a jersey now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm from Jersey, so we had the Rock and Rollers, baby.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Rock and Rollers. Who played for Rock and Rollers? Jerry Sincere? I think he played for Rock and Rollers.
I think so.
Maybe.
But did you happen to catch any pro beach hockey?
So I did. I watched it on ESPN, and I was in conversations with Tony Szabo at the time because he sent me a pair of V forms, and he said he kind of tried to learn me. He said if you wear these in the UK, and there was a magazine in the UK called Skater Mag, and I was kind of in it quite a lot back in those days, and he said you get yourself in this magazine wearing the V forms, and we'll get you a spot on a team in
hideous skates. Hideous.
They were just terrible. I mean, they were just a workout in themselves. They were so heavy, and just another inline. It was probably the first inline fad that came out. And I've seen so many. You can imagine like the things that have come out over the years.
No, I mean you got the V forms, which actually, Justin, someone was wearing those just over the summer. Someone was wearing them in an actual tournament, which I was like, that's crazy. Haven't seen those things around in forever.
Yeah, that is hilarious. Yeah, it probably says they're the best thing in the world ever.
Oh, yeah. But then you had the Nike Rockers that came out.
Yeah. Which
are not too far off from Mars Blade these days. So
no, I think it's like the same thing, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had the thing in the middle that just you could tighten up. Yeah.
And every time you took a step, it clinged. Just, you heard it rock. It was not a silent rock.
Yeah. Do you remember the Mission frames with like the header suspension?
Yes.
Sort of the front wheel, and if you got onto an edge, you would hit the metal, and the skate would just give way. Yeah.
You also had with that fad was the 4-finger gloves.
Oh yeah. The
Mission and Built Right.
Yeah, that's right. I remember those. I had a pair of. I had a green, like the bright green and gray ones. Yeah. It was I remember those.
Yeah. Just the styles of the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah. I remember a guy. I mean, there were parabolic wheels. You remember those? Probably not. Parabolic wheels. So basically, they were like the parabolic. So the front wheel was like a little bit thinner, then the second was a bit fatter, and then it would kind of be a bit thinner, and then.
They
were supposed to give you more edge and so on. There were those, and there was another wheel that came out, and it had like it was plastic around the main perimeter of the wheel, and you were supposed to be able to like slide and stop like on ice, so you could and they would just explode like guys.
I can only imagine.
Just come apart. But it's interesting when you look at the technology because. The high-low and the wheels haven't changed that much, really. I mean, there's been different. I mean, like Levada have brought out the new wheel with the
whips.
Hasn't got a spacer in it or something. I don't know how they're lasting. I don't know if there's been any problems with them. But when I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, that looks a bit dodgy to me." But I think they're doing all right, aren't they? I don't know if you tried them.
Yeah. I have not tried them, but we've had a couple people that we know that have tried them, and they're fast and. And I get it. Let's try something new.
We've got to keep reinventing it, right? You've got to keep it fresh. And I know they're trying to keep it fresh with new stuff. But it's I think the thing that's improved the most is particularly in ice. And for the last few years, for the first time, I've just used an ice skate now and put a frame on it. But the boot. I think it's just improved so much. Like the technology in the boot, the stiffness and the responsiveness in the skate. It's pretty. I think that's been the most impressive thing for me last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like yes, you pay for a good quality boot, especially in a roller skate. But you get, but I feel like in today's market, especially in roller hockey, you pay for what you get, right?
Yeah,
you can pay for $100, $200, $300 skate. But if you are actually a good skater, you're going to blow through them within a year. Yeah,
you're not going to enjoy it. It's not going to be fun for you. And I think that's one of the problems sometimes when some ice guys come across, right? They're like, I'm not spending $1,000 on a pair of skates. I'm just going to buy these ones. And then they're like, inline's terrible. I'm not, I can't stop on them. Like, because you've just broken down the skate in 2 hours, and it's no good for you. So, I see that a lot.
I like that you're talking about the evolution of the roller, and first of all, you started on the quads. Then you went
Yeah.
to just standard roller, which were all flats. All the same height. And then high-low came along. When high-low came along, which is basically the standard now, were you skeptical of that?
My friend told me about it. He said there's this skate and it's called a high-low and it's got bigger wheels at the back and smaller wheels at the front. I'm like, you're talking shit. It's like there's no such thing as that. I was like, because he was quite new to it. He was a Canadian friend of mine living in my town. And I'm like, he's got it wrong. No, he doesn't get it, And then he got this magazine. He showed me the magazine. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. It's like it was 72 then.
Okay.
So now it's 76, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So I remember when it first came out. It was on a mission skate, and you noticed it. And I mentioned Kirk French earlier. He's from Langley, Canada, and BC. And when I arrived in Canada, high-low wasn't around, or maybe it was, but he made his own. He had like a big wheel at the front and then just put small wheels all the way through. So he was already trying to kind of embrace this idea of being on his toes. And if you speak to anybody that played Narch through the 90s, 2000s, and talk about Kirk French or any of the guys from Mission Bauer, and ask about Kirk French. I mean, you should get him on here, actually. Okay. I'll make an intro because he, to me, is like I think probably the best inline hockey player that we've had. He played a little bit of RHI, but he was just all out inline. His style, it was just, and he's such a competitor, like unbelievable competitor. Like I haven't seen anyone at IHF that could compete that had so influential for Team Canada, to win the gold medal that year. So yeah, he's definitely worth. And he looked cool. He had the long hair and like he just looked the part. You know what I mean? I got some envy, obviously. Yeah. You should get him on the show for sure.
Yeah, we'd love that. Get us the little intro. That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So do you rock the high-lows now?
I am on the 8076. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm using the muck skate. So typically what I do now is, because I'm an ice hockey boy now, I'll play a season or two on a pair of ice skates, and then I'll switch it over. So I've got a Vapor at the moment. Bauer, they're really kind to me still. They send me gear from Canada, and so I get my sticks, my gloves, my skates still. Just from my inline days, they're still sending me gear, which is great. And then the Czechs, the Czech Bauer here, they kind of send me a bit of stuff for our camps. So that's nice. So yeah, it's all good.
What are you using for the chassis then?
I don't know what it's called. It's basically the one off the shelf. So it's different to the one that comes on the skate.
Okay.
But I like it. I have no problem with it at all. Yeah, it's just called high-low. I don't even know if it's got a name.
But it's the Bauer.
Yeah, I think it's Bauer. I think it's a Bauer high-low. Is that right? It's a Bauer high-low, right. I think. Yeah. If there is one, I mean, it's in the Bauer shop, but yeah. So it's 8076. Yeah.
So what do you got?
And it's like.
So I'm gonna bounce us back to your Great Britain time, your Team Great Britain days, and so now, what years or year or how long did you play for Team Great Britain?
So IHF, I played 98 to 2008 and 2014. I made that fatal error of coming back to play out of retirement that no one should ever do. No one. It's never been a successful experience. Although I do have a picture of me with the puck skating past Aleszemski because he was playing for the Czech national team at the time. So I do have that. So that's one thing I got out of it for selfish reasons. But I'd been the head coach from 2010 to 2014, and the kind of conversation went round that we didn't have a defenseman, and then somebody got talking to the guys, and they said, well, maybe you could play, and I had never played Pool A. We'd got promoted, and when I was playing for Great Britain from 98 to 2008, we could never beat teams like Austria or Slovenia to win that playoff game to get into the A pool. So when I was head coach, we beat Austria. We went up to the A pool. We played, Canada, USA, Czech Republic. That was 2012, and incredible experience. We beat Finland, actually.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it was like a dressing room of grown men crying because we just beaten Finland. A team that we would happily pay tickets to watch them play Sweden or something like that. And they just underestimated us, but we beat. Our goalie was amazing. So that was my time with Team GB, and some Furs as well. So that was double HF, but Furs I played from 97, 98, 99, 2000. And then double HF was just that much better, really.
Yeah.
And I think most people would agree with that. It's even the hardcore Furs guys. When you do double HF, it's just a different experience. And it's a real shame it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I think it was great for the sport.
And so the transition from player to coach, how did that happen?
So I'd been out of the game for 2 years. And so the coach at the time just reached out to me and said, would I be interested? And I was pursuing my career at the point. At that point I was kind of in some ways putting hockey behind me. I was at that time in my life where I was like, I've got family, I've got to take this seriously and try and let go of some of this hockey stuff. And he messaged me, and I actually turned it down. And then I remember I was reading a book called Winning by Sir Clive Woodward. Does that name mean anything to you? He was the England rugby coach when we won in 2003. And I finished reading this book, and I was so pumped. I remember finishing it like it was like 12 midnight. It was 12, midnight. And I was like, I'm doing this job. Like, this book's got me like some ideas and tactics, and I started kind of mapping it all out. And then as soon as the earliest I could phone up Nick, who was the coach at the time, I phoned him up and said, Nick, I'll do it. And I'm quite obsessive. You probably might be able to tell it, but anyone that kind of decides to just go to Canada and then pursue a dream, and just keep going and trying to, so once I do something, I'm all in. So we did that, and the team it wasn't anything to do with the coach. It was more to do with the changing of like younger players coming in with a different idea, and the older players kind of holding on to some of the old ways and some of the banter and some of the traditions that still existed, for rookies and stuff like that. And it was just a bit clunky. So I kind of walked into that, and we'd lost to Australia the year before, and we're nearly relegated from Pool B. And I'd kind of gone in like, we're winning Pool B. We're going up into the top 8 countries. And it was all about me at that point, and me kind of fulfilling my own dream. And I remember speaking to a couple of people and just talking about leadership. And I was doing quite a bit of leadership development at the time, like teaching it. And when I took on the job, I kind of was doing the exact opposite of what I was teaching, really. So I kind of caught myself a little bit with that, and started to try a different sort of philosophy with the players. So things like, I'd never played on a team that had beaten Austria. Like, what do you think? How do we beat a team like Austria? Like, how do we need to show up on the ring? Like, is the way we play right now going to be competitive enough to play against Austria? So our style of hockey was like run and gun. We would just get the puck and we just fly down the other end. So when we played teams like Australia, Argentina, Brazil, it was just like that, right? When we did that against Slovenia or Austria, it was just, they would just control the puck. They played the patient style of the game, and we would maybe steal a couple of goals, but we'd end up losing like 6-2 or something like that, or more. So we realized that we really need to change our style of hockey. Like, we need to get more sophisticated, and so one of the things was about, just controlling the play in the offensive zone, starting to cycle the puck more, getting more comfortable with players on our hips, and making drop passes. So we're creating 2-on-1s and really just getting comfortable holding onto the puck. And that was a real tough transition, because the guys were scared of doing that and quite intimidated to have that, be in that situation. But we got better and better at it. And then we started to work on our forecheck, and we started having different types of forechecks. And so rather than just an aggressive, just go in or play just man to man, we started to kind of have a forecheck where we would start to lead teams into a full sense of security. So we'd let them come down the boards, and then we'd trap them on the center line. And so when we did that against the better teams, they just thought they were much better than us, right? Because they would just blast past us. But we would start to kind of trap them and so on. And so we just got better and better. And then in 2011, we won Pool B. We went up into the top 8 countries, and we ended up playing the Czechs in the first game because they'd won it the year before. And so I knew that the Czechs would have been playing ice hockey. You know, they'd probably taken a couple of months off. They'd probably first time on inlines in the tournament. So we just kept doing this one move where we would just fly down the rink, do a button hook on the boards, throw it to the top guy. One guy would drive the net, and they would just they would be like like on their skates and trying to catch up. And so we just kept doing that. So we were like button hook everywhere, just getting them to, and we ended up tying with them 4-4, and we pretty much did the same against Finland, and we beat them 2-1. But our goalie took 50 shots.
Damn.
He was unbelievable. James Tanner. And even now, you can speak to some of the other teams, some of the coaches, they really feared him. Like they were to the point where we're like, we don't know how we're going to beat this guy. He is that good. So for us as Great Britain to have a goalie at that level, it was a massive game changer. We also have Nathan Finney, who's he's a really good hockey player. He'll be in Italy at the moment playing. He's won Narch Pro. So he and I are the only 2 guys that played Narch Pro from the UK. But the difference with him is I got Mercer twice. He won a gold medal. So he's different level. So we had some really good talent and guys that could really respond. But also we started introducing different types of training. We actually hired Peter Dale. Do you know Peter Dale? Have you heard of him?
Sounds
He's got Farm Tough.
Yes.
Yeah, Farm Tough.
So in 2010, he made a set of videos for us. All the guys chipped in, and we paid him some money to make some videos for us, so the guys could watch the videos and do some sort of strength training, which they'd never done before. Like my guys were drive through McDonald's on the way to the rink, drive through McDonald's on the way back, never lifted a barbell in their life. You know what I mean? So apart from a few of the guys that were into their CrossFit. So the guys just, when we turned up to play Pool B, we just looked like a different team. So we ended up playing Canada in the quarterfinal, and we were that confident that we'd win. Like we were just like, we're beating Canada. And so Clive Woodward, when the England rugby team played Australia, he did this thing where he just compared all the players. I think it was Australia, it might have been the All Blacks. And he went, every position he just compared the players. So I completely stole that, did that. Guys were just pumped. Like, I'm better than this guy. Our goalie's better than their goalie. Everyone was like, and Canada, because I remember I talked to Kirk about this now because Kirk was playing, and they were shitting their pants. Because the idea of them lose, because they seen us, beat Finland and tie with the Czechs, and they seen our goalie, and I remember before the game, they were like all around the arena, all of their headphones on, just totally getting in the zone, like walking around like really intense, and they came out so fast. Like they scored 3 goals in about 3 minutes and just ran it. We just didn't have. I actually think I talk about this in my book. I think I got out-coached actually, because I realized that the difference between the B pool and the A pool was that the B pool, we would have a strategy and we just get better and better and better at that strategy to the point where you get to the final, like it was just solid. Mm-hmm. In the A pool, you have to have like 20 strategies. And if one's not working, you have to try something different. And then even if I had that depth of knowledge, which I think if I'd carried on coaching for a few more years at the A pool level, I would have developed that knowledge, that kind of breadth of technical ability. You've then also got to be able to communicate that, and also the players are going to be able to respond quickly. And so when I started looking at that, I was like, oh, these teams, they're changing their strategy all the time. Like we had like 3-4 checks, maybe a defensive system and a way we would trap people in neutral zone, but they were just, their power play would change so much, their PK would change, everything was just changing all the time. And I think so that was a big lesson for me. Okay. It was like, it was a great experience. So we ended up going down, then we won Pool B again, we went up, and that's when I played in 2014. Came out of retirement, sort of dusted it all off. sort of old the hip up a little bit, and, the old guy. I felt old. Now I look back, it was 10 years ago. I was 38. Now I'm probably a better. I think maybe it's just delusional, but I think I'm a better inline player now than I was when I was 38. But who knows?
Well, I mean, you might be though, because you're more. I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? You have the mentality now, whereas before, when you were younger, you're probably like, I'm not gonna it's kind of like the reluctancy of like playing the style that you're supposed to play.
Yeah, you see the game differently, right?
Yeah.
You just see it. And also I'm playing quite a high level here. So I go from playing with like these Czech guys in the hockey league and the inline league. So I'm playing decent level, but that's just me convincing myself. Who knows?
Yeah, because you're playing with the Great Britain senior team, right?
That was in
last year?
No, that was 2014 when I played with a senior team. But now I played like FIRS Masters. But when I play here in the Czech Republic, I'm playing against guys like Marek Loskot, and I don't know if you know, but he, like one of the best inline hockey players in the world. He's playing in our league sometime, and here in Prague. So when he's flying down the wing, you have to be ready for that.
So you went this year and played in the Masters.
Yes. Yeah. For Great Britain. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's great. It's just a big reunion.
Yeah.
Of Narch guys, for me anyway, and for everybody. I'm so grateful that people organise that tournament. I actually, you asked about my best experience. I would still say it was that Narch experience, but my best the most I'm enjoying my hockey is probably with the Masters and the veterans, because it's great hockey. Everyone's happy, no stress. It's a little bit stressful, but yeah.
Well, and you get to
it's competitive.
Yeah, with that, and you get to enjoy Italy for a few days, and
exactly,
and you just kind of you're living the olden days of hanging out with the boys.
Exactly. Yeah, it's great. And we get together and we say the same shit to each other every single year. It's the same stories.
Yeah. It's good feeling though.
It's good fun. It's great. It's great. It makes it all kind of worthwhile. I don't know if that makes we put so much effort into the game over the last 20 years, so to still have this kind of like the reward, I think, of pursuing a dream that was never really going to pay any money, but we were just so dedicated to it. It's great.
So I want to touch up on something that you said. You said you have a book.
I do. I actually wrote 3 books.
Okay.
I've written 3 books, but the one I'm referring to is a book I wrote called Managing the Mist, and it's about how to deal with the mist. So when I played in Canada for the first time and I played with the Vipers, I really struggled with that like fight flight, and that like I felt loose and relaxed when I played in training. As soon as I got in the game, I was like, I call it the white mist. You can't see the players, your body locks up, you're out of breath even though you're fit. So I kind of started getting into sports psychology and leadership, and someone is actually the Czech coach. He's a really good friend of mine now, a guy called Jan Tlucháčka. He's coaching in Italy. He was the assistant coach and also the assistant coach for the Olympic Czech team. Really good guy. And he, after we tied with the Czechs, he said to me, where you've come from as a team and where you are now and the way you play hockey, he said, it's unbelievable. Like, how did you do it? And it was just that question that got me thinking, how did we do it? And I started thinking about the kind of the process that we put in, and the values that we started to introduce to the team, and the way we would facilitate conversations rather than me kind of just having all the answers and being the head coach, but getting the players involved and decision making, and not just on the rink, but in the dressing room, away from the rink. How would we behave? Will we communicate with players, everything. So we sort of develop this culture. I talk about it in the book, this high performance culture. And so I just started writing about it. And then I kind of had this thing, and I approached a publisher, and they went, let's publish it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's it's a book. I share some of the stories, but it's a book on leadership and it's a book on mindset, really.
Okay.
I'll make sure and link those in the video.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody, well, 'cause it's quite hard to get Managing the Mist on. You can buy the ebook actually on Amazon. You can buy the ebook. Yeah, but if anybody wants it, if they DM me as part of kind of your show, we can maybe run a competition. I'll just send them the PDF.
Okay. So you don't have any hardcovers or paperback?
I have a few here still that I keep for certain situations, but this is it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I like the cover.
Yeah, I can send one out. You know, if you want to run a competition or something, I'll send one out to someone.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, mindset and just something that I really liked when you're talking about coaching is setting traps. Yeah. I think that's something that, you know, especially something like inline, people think about scoring.
Yeah.
But they don't think about how important it is to make sure you have the puck so you can go score.
Yeah. My philosophy was always mitigate the risk. You know, it doesn't matter how good your forecheck is, how good your strategy is, your breakout, whatever. There's always going to be some sort of risk, and if you can mitigate that risk with some positive outlet, you're always in good shape. You're always in a situation where you can take advantage of a situation. So I think that, that's important, especially when you've got such offensive teams, and a lot of players that play inline play because they want to be offensive, right? But I watched Parma play. They came to Prague in the summer, and they pretty much dominated. But I've always thought of Parma as like just a really offensive team. You know, lots of skill, lots of talent on the team, such depth. But what I was blown away by was just their relentless forecheck and the intensity, but also how organized it was. I was surprised how organized it was, because I was expecting something more loose, if you like. But it was constantly, and picking out the players, and it was impressive.
I think you're muted, Dan.
Oh, yeah, I am muted. I have a question, because a lot of people hate this, but I'm going kind of ice hockey right now. Looking back at the NHL, looking back at the 2002-2003 Devils and their 1-4 trap.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, revolutionized, but also changed the sport at the same time, because people hated that, and so they made new rules.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, is that kind of like the stuff you're looking at? Is like, how do I change? Obviously, you want to change what you're doing, but are you trying to find new ideas on how to kind of revolutionize the game?
I find that most fascinating. I'm probably not as close to inline in that way anymore. I don't. When I watch a team like Parma Cyclone, Parma Knights, I can't help watch them from that perspective and kind of analyze the game. I've noticed that, like, when I played with Black Biscuit, for example, we're playing against really good inline teams with high level players that are playing in France and NHL and so on. That here, I can make some sort of leadership decisions, if you like, or things that I think, hey, I'll whisper to the captain and say, look, if we do this or we try this, I think this is going to help. And he'll come to me and go, wow, that was just that one thing, because people aren't using that as much in inline. So you've got a bit of an advantage in inline. I think the trap that you're talking about then was a bit more, it was clearly a defensive trap, right? So that was kind of like, it's low risk. This can win us the championship if we just do this every week. We can win a Stanley Cup with this system. And whereas I find the kind of the offensiveness and the creativeness in me finds that hard to just do that. Just to kind of be too, I want the guys to enjoy the hockey and show some of their spirit. So in the book, I talk about freedom in the framework. We'll have frameworks, but I want to see the magic. Like, I want to see the thing that, that your special thing that you do, that move, and have the freedom to do it and the freedom to mess up within that framework. Because if the framework's tight, the systems are good, then we're always going to mitigate the risk anyway. So just go for it. So failing hard. We had a saying on our team that playing safe was risky. So that was our mantra.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
There must have been it must have been a boring practice if you're trying to scrimmage and try to play a 1-4 trap in 2002, 2003, and it's just a 0-0 practice.
Have you heard have they interviewed the players and asked them what they thought of it? I've not heard anybody.
I've never actually, that would be a really good interview, but I've never seen anything.
Like, it was terrible. It was so embarrassing. Do they no, it was solid. Like I don't know. I just wonder what people's response might have been.
I mean, some reporters got to pick that up and just ask them, hey, Scott Stevens, how'd you feel playing the trap? But never heard anything.
Probably I don't know.
Yeah. Well, for Scott Stevens, he got to sit back there and then just kamikaze someone and take their head off.
You just lead them there, and I'll just pick him up on the center line.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Jofa helmet that's behind you didn't save Teemu Selanne.
No.
Oh God.
No. And I was just thinking maybe what's his name wore it as well, but I don't think he did. I was thinking Paul Correa. He didn't wear it either, did he? Don't know. No. He had the CCM. He had the CCM, I think.
Yeah.
But but that's he was actually one of my favorite players to watch. Paul Correa. I think it was awesome. Yeah, different level. It was a shame about his career.
Yeah. But let's shift to kind of what you do today, right?
Okay.
So now, most people are like, I run camps for youth, but you run camps for adults. Yeah.
And it's not my main business, but it's definitely growing. And so I wanted to build a camp. So I basically what happened is, give a very short story, because I never imagined myself coaching ice hockey or being especially a skills coach on the ice, like in teaching edge work and so on. But there's a few things. One, when I took my son to hockey camp, it was, I think, COVID maybe. And there was a little window where they started running camps here again, like late 2020. And my son had just turned 5. So I took him to a camp, and I had my gear in the car. And they said, look, we've got an adult camp as well. Would you join us? We haven't got many players. Would you jump in? I was like, yeah, I'll jump in. And I was still struggling with the edge work even then, really, even though I kind of got comfortable. I never felt the same as I did my inlines. And then I started playing more. And then I'm playing then it was 3-4 times a week here. So I was starting to get feeling really comfortable, I just felt like I did on my inlines and playing the game. Went to another camp, and they said to me, I approached them. I said, look, I do some mindset work. I was wondering if you'd like me to run some classes for the kids, and I'll got my son's on the camp. I'll just run some seminars for the kids on mindset. They were like, yeah, amazing. And the parents loved it, but the group that loved it the most were the adult hockey players, and they'd ask really good questions, and because they're like business people, right? So they're relating it back to their work, and so we'd have these really good conversations. Sometimes it was over a beer, and then as I was getting better and better, I'd kind of jump on the ice, and then they were like, oh, you're a hockey guy, you're a hockey player. And I was like, yeah, I play. But they might hear, if you say you're a hockey player, you've played pro. And so I was like, yeah, a hockey player. So can you help out? Can you come and help out whilst you're here? Can you do some assistant coaching as well? So I started doing that. And I never forget it, because one of the head coaches, he said to me, okay, Andrew, here's your drill. He got the board. He said, what I want you to do is take the guys through. You're going to go on your inside edge, put your hand down on the ice. Then you can do outside edge, hand down on the ice. So I want you to demonstrate that to the guys. And I was sitting there thinking, I've never done that in my life. I've never, the whole kind of hand down and inside edge and then outside edge. And I was didn't want to say anything, I can't do that. Anyway, I just did it. I just went out and I just put my hand out. I was and it was videoed it, and they showed it and say, see how Andrew's on he's on his outside edge, he's got his hand down. And I was like, I'm pretty good at this. So then I started doing some more stuff around that. And I was like, you know what? I could teach more here. So I started doing more coaching. We got into conversation about it. And then there's an inline guy got in touch with me. He saw a video I put on Facebook. He's the GM at a rink. Like where I live, there are about 20 rinks within 10 minutes. Like it's insane the amount of rinks here.
Wow.
And he got in touch with me. His one's about 30 minutes away. And he said, look, I saw you running camps. I was like, I'm not. I'm actually an assistant coach. He said, would you run a camp at my rink? Because I need to use the ice over the summer. Otherwise, we're going to take it up. I was like, okay, I'll try and organize something. And I ended up getting like 20 guys came from the UK, stayed over. We made a nice camp. I'm like, this is my minimum viable product, if you like. I can do this. So I started running more. So I'm just now, we're doing some more video work. I brought in a guy to help me. And then next year, we're looking at running more. We've got some teams coming over as well. So like Cambridge University are coming over. And then we started reaching out to some of the ladies teams in the UK because we've noticed that the ladies hockey has just grown really quickly. And so we started partnering with the Czech ladies team here to maybe provide some coaching for the ladies. But I'm getting inquiries from Quebec, Minnesota, like real hockey, states and towns, and guys saying, we just don't have anything like this. And we would love to come to Prague. So we're starting to run more camps for the hobby hockey player who wants to come, experience some hockey, meet some new friends, go into the city, experience Prague, maybe go to Austria, maybe drive to Germany or whatever, so make a real trip of it. So that's kind of the market that we have.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I wanted to build something for me that I would enjoy at 48. And I wanted to build something for the 22-year-old version of me who, if I had come here and done this camp when I was 22, I think I could have had a really good, go at playing decent ice hockey in the UK. But there was nothing. There was really no support. People kind of like, if you're an inline guy, they were like, whatever, I'm not interested in you. There was no YouTube was there, but there was nothing really available to. It was just books and VHS,
Yeah.
So, now, are these camps? Do you have is it just, do you go out and it's all in one, or do you go out and have like specific things you're going to work on, whether it's edge work or it's, is it just strictly skating, or is it shooting?
No.
Or
that's a good question, actually, because the camps at the moment, so we focus on 6 key areas. So skating, shooting, hockey IQ, and stick handling, right? Okay. So we cover all those 4 areas, and we do a little bit on mindset and a little bit on strength and conditioning. So we're teaching guys like how to use the kettlebell, for example, because most people don't have time to go to the gym. They've got family, they're working, and so on. So I'm a bit of a kettlebell fanatic, and we do a little bit on mindset, but not much. And then typically when we'll do a lot of skating on the first session, so edge work, etc. We're teaching some of the downhill skating system as well. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a guy called Jason Yee, Train 2.0. So he's got a really nice kind of philosophy on teaching NHL mechanics and just really breaking it down into its simplest form. And hobby guys really seem to be enjoying that, right? So we'd teach that. And then we break out into the stations. So we'd have stations, we'd have a coach in each station, and we'd have a stick handling one, we'd have a skating one, we'd have a hockey IQ one, and we'd have a shooting one. But what we think we'll do next year is actually run some camps just for shooting, like come to this shooting camp, or if you want to come to the skating camp, and we'll start doing specific like stick handling camps and bring in a specialist and so on. Because the other thing we can do here is that we can pay our coaches, money that they wouldn't normally get paid here.
Yeah.
Not that I want to give it away too, but what we can charge someone from the UK, the Czechs just aren't going to pay that here. They can go to a, it's just not there in there.
Yeah.
They don't need to, basically.
Yeah, supply and demand, man.
Exactly. So if you're pricing up a camp and it's $500 or $1,000 and it's full board, accommodation, everything, then it all makes sense, right? Which means then we can pay the coaches well. So these guys that are playing in the 4th division who aren't really earning much money, but they're playing pro hockey and good hockey, we can give them some work. And the same with the ladies. We want to get the coach, because some of them are playing in the PWHL, or they're playing college hockey, or they're just playing in the league here. So, trying to help them
That's
out
awesome.
as well.
Yeah, being able to stimulate the locals is a way to get in good. They'll be happy about that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice collaboration.
And I'm assuming you get kind of a range of all different adults that want to do that, want to participate.
Yeah, I mean, we keep it to beginner to advanced. And so beginner is, let's say, like, I've just started, and like, can you stop? Can you skate backwards? Can you skate forwards? And if they can do those three, then come to the camp.
Okay.
But we'll get an inline guy who's never played hockey before. We'll get a 55-year-old guy who's been just playing hockey like his whole life. 55-year-old guy who's just started. We get people coming who played, in the UK, or they quit at 24, 25, got injured or something, and they fell back in love with the game at 35, but they just want to get fit. They come. So it's a real mix of players, and so we do put them into groups. So if they're like a group of beginners, advanced players, and so on. So and then even when we have the games, we match it up nicely. So it seems to work. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's important, making sure you don't have some guy who's, pulling between his legs around a guy who just started last year and he's just working on the basics still. Exactly.
Yeah. And one of the things that, I think we manage well is the egos. We don't need dickheads in there. It's just, we're here to have some fun. We're not here to compete with each other. We're here to support each other. If someone falls over or catches an edge, give them a round of applause because they're clearly pushing themselves. Let's just encourage each other here. Just have a love for the game.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. It's great that you accommodate all levels, and it's just not like, because where you can say like adults, right? You can say like, oh, we're just guys that are just on the cusp, that are, maybe just missed out making, whether it's a, level 4 pro team, right? And it's like, okay, well, we're gonna just strictly work with those guys and get them up to the next level, where now you're like the average Joe Schmo can come out.
Yeah, exactly. There's just not a lot for them, and I think some coaches, they go with what also gets them energized, right? So they get energized by working with these prospects or players who are, just pushing that. Because here, you can play extra league. So if you play for Sparta, you're playing in the extra league, right? Or and then you've got Division 2, 3, and 4. So they can kind of, a 21-year-old, 22-year-old, they could push it and maybe get to the top league. So a lot of the coaches then want to work with those players, and that energizes them. What energizes me is playing with these guys who they're doing it for no other reason than they just absolutely love the game. Like, there's no other agenda other than just being on the ice in that gear and shooting the puck. And seeing someone's eyes light up when they, like a beginner shoots the puck and teach them a little, how to flex the stick and where to put the puck, and they shoot top shelf, and they're like, what? That's just the reward.
Do you feel that the youth is a little more? There's more. Youth coaching is a little more crowded for like camps, and that you found your niche where like you're like, I'm one of the first.
It's definitely crowded. I think we've seen a huge influx of coaches actually since COVID, more since then, particularly the youth, because there was a lot of stuff online and people jumping on that. I guess that we are niche, and we are adult hockey coach, so we got the kind of the name, if you like. It's we're not trying to be anything else than that. I was, like Instagram, I went from 0 to 6,500 followers, and I haven't done anything really for a long time. But we're back on the ice in 2 weeks. We'll start making video again, and I think we'll probably get to 10,000 pretty quickly this year. And it's just really basic, like, don't do this, do this. But people message me and say, your content's really helping me. We had one that went viral, and I just said to one of my guys, jump over the boards like this. Now jump over the boards like this. So I just put the video, don't do this, do this. So it was like the first time he's jumping over and he's getting his legs and he's facing the wrong way. And then he just sort of hops over, and he's in the game quick. It's like got a million views. Like I think it's probably up to nearly 2 million views now.
Yeah.
You know, so these kind of little things, like, have to tie your laces. Like, do it this way. Do it this way. Do it this way. You know,
huge.
Seem to, yeah. So
I like that. I want to talk about the jumping over the boards because I personally am a pole vaulter.
Yeah. Do you put the stick like this and then over? That's what the guy's doing. He kind of overcooks a little bit, and people like saying, "Yeah, but my stick's like $200, so I'm not doing that." Then you get people saying like, "I don't even reach the boards," but you know that that's what he does. I do that sometimes. He's like, and he puts the stick down and goes over here.
Oh yeah, I throw myself all the way over.
Yeah.
No arms on the boards themselves.
Oh, really? Straight up. Nice. Yeah. Sweet. Straight into the game. Yeah.
Oh, I'm all one arm, just throwing myself over. There's no stick involved. It's just hopping over.
Yeah.
A vault.
Yeah.
It changes, so progressively gets worse by the third period or whatever, kind of like, you know, as the game goes on. It's like, I think I'll take the gate this time.
usually
guys getting off.
Yeah, gate in, hop over the boards, getting out.
Yeah, and it's guys bumping into each other. It's like in the hobby league.
Oh man, watching the lower level and guys that are refusing to hop.
Yeah.
And so now you have two guys coming out in and out the same door, and they're like, now one guy's like, "Oh crap, wait, stop and grab onto the boards," and the other guy's trying to come out, but the other guy's blocking the door halfway, so the guy's like shimmying out. And it's like, dude, you're 10 seconds too late.
And then they're arguing with each other, and then there's too many men on the ice.
Yep.
And it's like, and I was like, you just jump over the boards. Yeah.
Plus, that's like half the fun of hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you go through your youth, and you're like, I can't hop over the boards yet, and then it's like that one time you do it, and you're like, oh my god, I can hop over the boards now.
Yeah, I'm a man.
Yeah.
That's the coming of age for hockey.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Nice.
So, how often are you converting ice guys to inline, or do you not even try to do that?
I don't try to do it, but I just say to like some of the guys I play like masters with, for example, I'm like, just come, just try it. They're like, I've never played ice hockey in my life. I'm like, just come. There's no one's going to judge you. No one cares. Like, it's just try it, and it will improve your inline game. Like, you'll be a better inline hockey player if you come and do this camp. And so I suppose I do. To answer your question, I probably do encourage it, but not. It's not in a salesy way. Actually, when I think about it, I just find it really easy to say it. You know, whereas in business, like trying to sell something, it feels uncomfortable. With this, I'm like, just come, just do it. Like you won't regret it. Yeah, because it will be great. Yeah, but
when you truly believe in something, it's easy.
Exactly, but I do think, there must be so many inline guys in America that kind of sit there thinking, maybe I could try it. Maybe I could, they played inline the whole life. I know a lot of them are playing both now, but there must be quite a few that perhaps are just really good at inline, but not playing any ice. Do you know of any? There must be quite a few that could just need a week on the ice with some help. I'm not saying my camp, but I'm just thinking there must be.
There are definitely guys that, are decent at roller and then they just never played ice. And, some of them are like, it's ice. I've only played roller, like you said. And then some guys just look at it too, because especially in our area, there's not many ice rinks. And so when you look at the cost of roller compared to the cost of ice, guys are like, I'm going to continue playing roller. And
makes sense.
Yeah.
I think in the US, it's mostly, I think it's harder to get people to go from ice to inline than it is to get people to go from inline to ice.
Interesting. Yeah.
So hearing you say that ice is going to help the inline game, like that's the thing we're trying to push to people for sure, which is like inline helps you with patience, kind of flow and everything. And then ice helps you. Sorry?
Look at Pat Maroon. He's a complete lump and just, says it's all, just the fact he's got some hands is to do with his inline hockey.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. And then when you go and play ice, you're trapped. once you get in the blue line, you better stay in there. And everything's a lot tighter. And you can tell the guys, you know, like DiMartino's, people like that, who they don't care at all when someone's on their butt and inline, because at least they're not getting lit up.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you see the puck a lot more. You're going to be touching the puck a lot more. I mean, you could play ice hockey, right, and play 3 or 4 shifts and not even touch the puck. I mean, some games, you know what I mean? It's like the amount of time you're on the puck, whereas inline. And I took my son. He's 8. And he had his first inline camp, and he couldn't stop. Like he kept, like spinning around and kind of catch, but he loved it. Like he really loved it.
Yeah.
So
the issue with a lot of the ice guys, especially in the U.S., is like they go and play roller hockey, and then they get all pissed off because they want to play like a fast-paced ice game, but that's not roller hockey. So once they run into a team that slows it down, brings the puck behind a net, they're like, "Oh, this is stupid. Why would I play? Why would I?" Yeah, and it's just like a completely different world. And we're like, guys, and then when you have a group of skilled ice players, but then they just run and gun themselves to death, and they don't realize how tired they're getting because there's 4 of them and not 5 of them. Yeah. You know, they either don't play anymore or they eventually adapt. Yeah, the play style.
Yeah. It always amazed me when I was younger and some ice guys would come across, and we had one guy who played for us, and he just transitioned so smoothly. Like he just got it straight away. But some guys, you see some really good hockey players, they just couldn't do it. Like they look like beginners. You know what I mean? Like they just something where they were nervous or something, but they just couldn't do it. And I think that was one of the reasons growing up that we didn't have a lot of respect for ice hockey as kids, because we were playing like the street, on the quad still. So when we were like 14, 15, 16, these ice hockey guys would come across, and we were like, and they were apparently like a pro, or they played high level. We were like, oh, we're better than them. We're better than they are. But obviously we weren't on the ice, but that was just there was this kind of animosity between the two sports. But I don't see that as much now. I think there's a bit more harmony. But I mean, still in the UK, it's frowned upon a little bit. Like they don't like the kids playing, despite like here in the Czech Republic, it's really encouraged. Like it's really respected here. Like we have inline for 2 months, and they really embrace it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in the US it's gotten better, especially since what helped is all the NHLers that have gone back and played roller and played in tournaments like Pat Maroon. It's kind of bridged that the gap of like coaches going roller hockey's bad for your ice hockey. And now it's completely, the narrative's completely changing. Especially with young guys like Bedard coming in and playing high level roller hockey in Vancouver, right? And so because I think there's a good amount of, at least in around the border of Canada and into Canada, obviously they have most places have ice all year round, but some places in the summer it is roller. Yeah. And so, they do go from ice to roller. And so, you got to get the best of both worlds. But when you get out of that space of where they actually do force you to transition and it's just ice hockey all year round, it's kind of goes in the same thing of like, being a multi-sport athlete is better for you than just focusing on one sport.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
And whereas like when you play just ice hockey and you don't touch roller hockey, you're still missing part of that game. Right. Which that game that you don't play, whether it's ice or roller, is going to help you in some aspect. And I think coaches are now starting to realize that, and they're like, oh, well, the patience, the hands, the vision. So, and maybe even just the skating, because you are skating a lot more in roller. It's, and I think the game is still very young and revolutionizing today. Yeah.
I think it will have a second wave somehow. I think it'll have some kind of resurgence like it did in the mid 90s. A film often helps.
Mm-hmm.
Mighty Ducks did play quite a significant role in getting the speed. I mean, it was crazy. It was terrible as it is, really. When I look at it, my kids they love it, but it was good for the sport. And I think that once people get their heads, because the one thing that probably gave it a bad name was people like me, actually. When I'd come across it, yeah, but he can't even skate. Like, it can't be good for you. But if you've got an ice guy that's playing, ice all the time, and then they play a bit of inline and they come back to ice, I think it can only help. Especially if you, like in the UK, the kids are getting on the ice once or twice a week. I mean, here, we're the exact opposite. We have a problem in the Czech Republic where you specialize. So the kids are on the ice, my kids are on the ice 4 or 5 times a week. And they don't really have time for any other sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a bit of a problem, actually. Because if you look at Canada, they might play a game every 2 weeks, but then they're playing lacrosse every 2 weeks. They're playing something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's trying to give them a break, trying not to burn these kids out, because I think that might be creeping into the game a little bit in the US, where the parents are putting them on skills camps and then they put him in the game, and then it's summer camp, and it's just 12 months of the year.
Yeah.
And I gave my kid a break, and all the players I think he came back a better player with the break over the summer. He's more enthusiastic, he's motivated, he's developed, he's been doing other things, a little bit of tennis, a little bit of inline, a little bit of football, soccer, so that, like you say, build the athlete. You want the pyramid, you want to build the wider the base, the better the hockey player.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was a baseball hockey player growing up, and it was, at times it was both at the same time. Was it tough? Hell yeah, to manage both schedules. Yeah, so much traveling, but like, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting hand-eye coordination. You're getting, you're growing into your body by doing different things that is going to acclimate yourself. That, when you have to work on your edge work, how your body's going to work and stuff like that. So, it's just stuff like that parents don't realize, and coaches today are so tunnel vision.
Yeah. Yeah, we see it. And, if you play a bit of soccer, the kids then kind of see a different formation. They see like, and tackling and playing a little bit physical, in different ways on their feet. So they can then relate that to the game. So I think the more they play this way, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Save your money.
That's a good place.
Just get them on a shield and play football, soccer.
Yeah.
You can call it football. We'll accept it. It's most of the world calls it football.
That's right. That is true. That is true.
But I do, before we head out, I do have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of just kind of who you do hold clinics for, and and camps for and stuff like that. Is like, if you what is some word of advice for an adult looking to get into the sport, or starting off in the sport later in their life? What is the word of advice you can give them?
Well, if they're beginners, you mean they just, because sometimes you've got a parent who's watching their kid grow up and play, and has just been watching it for 20 years and thinks, I want to start, that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Just go, just get in there. I would probably hire a coach. If you were prepared to make the investment and get some one-to-one training, rent half the ice and for yourself, or just get some skating. Start with the skating, always with the skating, right? And understanding the edges, and do your research, watch some videos. It should never be a chore, and just leave your ego at the side and get out there and chase some pucks around. And I would, I talk about skating, but if you really want to just enjoy the game, then just get a stick in your hand and handle the puck. Just make it fun.
Love it.
Buy all the best gear you can find, because that's the best part. Right? Just get the best stuff.
Especially as a goalie.
Exactly. My daughter's a goalie, so it's insane. I mean, we get a little bit of support, but she had to get new pads the other day, and oh my gosh.
Yeah. Had to mortgage the house the second time.
Exactly. Yeah. So stop growing. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a good time to leave it like that. So I want to make sure that everyone listening or watching, depending on what platform you're doing it on, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave your comments leave your thoughts in the comment section. And, remember, if you're for Czech and roller hockey, don't let up because there's no offsides. I'm Dan Dean.
I'm Justin Wood.
Smilee, we
I'm
appreciate you,
Smilee.
man. Yeah,
I
we
appreciate you. It's been fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
We appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon. All the best.
Yeah, you too.
See ya.
See ya.
No offside. Every episode of No Offsides podcast is brought to you by Champion Hockey. Be a champion. No Offsides is happy to support US Roller Cup, a revolution in roller. Check out all these awesome tournaments, including November 8th through the 10th at Skate Safe America, Old Bethpage, New York, and the Ring of Fire in Kapolei, Hawaii, February 14th through 17th, 2025. And be sure to check out usrollercup.com and follow US Roller Cup at US Roller Cup on Instagram. US Roller Cup, a revolution in roller.